In a different video, I showed you how you can color code growth rates which are positive with a given color and those which are negative with another color. So in this video, let's look at how you can highlight the most improved product or the most improved month or even the least improved with a certain color, but then the rest of the months remain with the default color. Similar to what you see here in this screen. So the goal will be to move from the chart on the left side to the one on the right side, and I'll show you step by step. My name is William, and I would be happy if you support my endeavors by subscribing to this channel and clicking that thumbs up button to like this video and other tutorials that I share in the future. So I'll go ahead and delete these two charts that you see here on the right, but you have seen what you want to end up with. Then I'll go ahead and copy paste this chart. So we'll need a measure that will help us to identify what is the highest value in this chart and what is the least value in this chart. So I'll go ahead and we create that together. Before we even do the chart, maybe we should actually convert this one to a table, a matrix visual like that, so that we can trace how the numbers look like. So I'll go to the table and right click, choose new measure. The measure we shall call it highest versus lowest will be equals to, then I press shift enter, move to the next line, and in this case we need to identify the highest value within the list of 12 months that we have here. So in that case we need a function called MAXX, and this function takes a table as the first argument. So we need to give it a table of 12 months. So in this case, I cannot go ahead to the calendar table and select a column called month. You can see it doesn't appear in the list. So in that case, we shall be using a function called values, or you can use a function called all, or any other function that will ideally give you the list of unique items of months. So in this case, I can go with all and use calendar month name in brackets like that and put a comma and then define what is the highest value that I'm looking for. So this one is the measure that we are calling the sales year-on-year growth rate, the one that is used on this chart. So I just select that and press enter. So once we do that, I can place it here on this matrix, and you can see we get the same numbers all through apart from the last row. So maybe I can go ahead and format this one as a percentage from the home tab and probably reduce the number of decimals to 1 so that we have the same replica here. So as you can see, we get the same numbers as the sales year-on-year growth rate measure, but that's not what we are looking for. We just want to know, against all this list of 12 months, what's the highest value. In this case, it should be 84.7%, the month of November. The reason why it's not giving us the correct value is because if you go to the calendar table on the back end, you have the month name, which is here, and this month name, you can see we're defining that it should be sorted by the month number, which is this column. And therefore in this case, whenever we use the all function, then we need to ignore the filter context, not just from the month name, but also from the month number. So I'll put a comma as we edit this formula, put a comma after month name and then take month name number. So when I press enter, I get the same number that I was looking for across the months. Now, if I go back to the measure, so where we are using the all function, you can also use all selected function. So if I choose all selected like that, it will still work the same way. Okay. So I want us to do the same with the min function, but then in this case we need to probably create a variable so that we can check what it is returning. So the variable here is the highest. I'll just call it highest equals to what we have there. Then shift enter, go to the next line. And in fact, if I can highlight these and then press shift with alt and move down row, it will be the same measure, but instead of highest, we shall say lowest. And instead of max X, it will be min X, like that. But now once we use variables like this, we need to use the return key, and then maybe let's this time round return the lowest variable. So if I press enter, you can see now it gives me the least percentage change in this list of months. So since we are now able to identify the highest and the lowest value, all we need to do is then to compare the current month value if it is equivalent to the highest or the lowest number. And then once we do that, we can then return a given color for the highest and a different color for the least. So let's do that. So let's keep on editing this measure. So instead of returning the lowest or the highest, we shall introduce a switch function. So I'll do a switch, shift enter. The expression, we shall just say true, so that we just check the instance where the expression we shall do is a true. So in this case, we shall be checking, is the sales growth equivalent to the highest? So if that is the case, then we need to say, maybe we need to show as a green color, put a comma, then move to the next line, and check whether the same measure, sales year-on-year growth rate, is equivalent to lowest. And if that is the case, we do red, like that. If you don't define what happens with the rest of the values, then it will be defaulting to the default color used in the column. So in this case, we can close the switch function. And when I press enter, let me minimize this one. You can see from the table that it only returns a red where that number is the least and green when this number is the highest. So we shall make a slight adjustment to this measure we've just done. So instead of leaving blank for the rest of the values, we shall just edit and put a comma at the end and then use this hex code, which will be, let me just make a comment using those two dashes and say this is gray color. Okay, so when you enter, you can see what you get for the rest of the rows here. So I'll go ahead now and remove the measure from the table and then convert this table again to a column chart here. So we have this chart in place now. So what we need to do is to apply the conditional formatting now on the bars. So if I go back to the formatting options here, look for the columns under color, we click effects. Instead of rules, we have a measure and therefore we shall use field value. And in this case, the value is coming from that measure we've just created. It's called highest versus lowest. If I select that and press OK, you can see from this chart that we immediately can tell what is the month with the highest value and what is the month with the lowest value in terms of the growth rate compared to the previous year. In a similar manner, we can go ahead and color code products that have the highest improvement or the ones that had the least improvement compared to a previous period. So I'll go ahead and duplicate this chart, Control-C, Control-V, and move it to the right side here. And similarly, like before, we'll go and create a measure for it. So I will not be repeating the measure. It will be the same logic. So I'll copy this measure. Right click and do a new measure, then Control V to paste, but this one instead of highest lowest I can add this word segment because this one is per segment, product segment, and therefore what we need to do is for this part that says all selected calendar month name and month number, we need to change this one to be all selected products segment. So this column, we do like that. The rest of the logic is the same, so I'll just copy paste it down here for the min X, Control V. The rest of the formula will remain the same. We are not going to change. If I select this chart now, I can go to the formatting and similarly, Previously, we were looking at the column colors. So this one will now be bars because this is a bar chart. And here we click FX. Instead of rules, we choose field value. And here we look for that measure we've just done. It's called highest, lowest, but segment. If I press OK, you can see immediately it picks the highest value, the one that has the most improvement, and the least improvement is colored in a different way. And that's it for now. Please consider subscribing to our channel. Give this video a thumbs up. We really appreciate your support. I invite you to watch this playlist here if you want to sharpen your visualization skills. I'll see you in the next one.